Welcome to this year's annual film, celebrating just some of the projects that the Fund has supported in the last 12 months. This year the Fund is celebrating 20 years of funding with Landfill Communities Fund across the county, and in that time we've granted a staggering £26 million worth of funding to environmental and community projects right across the county. On the back of our funding, we estimate about £90 million has come into the county. Our Landfill Communities Fund money has been used to support a vast array of projects, from supporting children's play areas, community buildings, public open spaces, parks and gardens, and also some of the county's most loved wildlife sites. The future of the fund, who knows, but we're hoping to be here in 20 years' time, celebrating 40 years.
Hello, I'm Lindsay Beaton, Lancashire Wildlife Trust's Mere Sandswood Nature Reserve, where Lancashire Environmental Fund funded our new classroom and meeting space, which is a fantastic building. We had real problems with our old building, which was originally part of a site office when this was a sand quarry, and was basically falling apart, and we needed something much better to host school visits in particular. So we looked around for various options, and the best one we came up with was this, which is refurbished porta cabins. So it's really nice that we're using something as well. We're not getting something from new, it's about recycled building. It's given us a fantastic good size indoor space with, and this sounds a little bit mundane, but with more toilets, which is a huge issue when you've got a class of 5-year-olds. Our volunteers then have been working really hard once the building's been installed to build this decking here around it, and they're also making the cladding to go on the building to help it blend into the natural landscape. They're doing that with timber from site that we've processed in our own new sawmill, so we can take a whole pine log and process that down into the 1-inch strips that they're fixing onto the building. So this is a new sawmill we've got here on site, which is an absolutely fantastic piece of kit that has far exceeded all the expectations we had from it. It enables us to process timber from trees we need to fell on site for conservation purposes and actually make full use of that timber. So we can turn pine trees into finger posts, for instance. We can make seats with it. We're just beginning to explore the potential of exactly what we can do with this sawmill.
Hi, I'm Manny Basher and I'm one of the lead coaches at Cycle Sport Pendle. Welcome to Stephen Burke's pump track. So about 4 years ago I came down here and the track was in a serious state of disrepair. Rocks were showing and it wasn't fit for purpose, so I thought I have to get something for the local kids so they can ride in safety and for them to enjoy it as well. So I approached the council. Started looking for funding. Locally there wasn't much funding available through the council, so we started looking at other avenues, trying anywhere we could find anybody to try and help us in the mission. We got the track builder down, he gave us a price, and then we needed to raise that money. So like I say, we approached Tesco, we approached Lancashire Environmental Fund, Sport England, and thankfully the first people who put into the fund were Lancashire Environmental Fund, and from then it started the ball rolling, I think, because they thought, well, okay, they've got somebody now we can put into there. So then it started from there. So myself and local mountain bike legend Andy McGee got together and we started Cycle Sport Pendle, otherwise known as the Pendle Panthers, and on a Saturday morning we bring the kids down here and we coach them from the ages of 6 all the way up to 14. We teach them basic skills and how to ride a bike and safety and all the rest of the stuff. We do maintenance as well as part of our club. But on the circuit here, on the pump track, we have three different lines. So obviously we've got the training line, we've got the intermediate line, then we've got the little tarmac section, which is for balance bikes predominantly. And then obviously it splits up again from the intermediate line into like the more advanced line, which has the bigger jumps, the bigger tabletops, the bigger step ups, and the bank turns, which are known as berms.
Hello, my name is Alan Smith, and I'm a resident of Sunderland Point, have been for all my life, and we're visiting the grave of Sambo this morning. Sambo was a crew member of a West Indian sailing ship, and he came ashore here at Sunderland Point in the mid-1700s. And he died in a cottage in the village, and was laid to rest here on the west shore of Sunderland Point. And the West Indian trading vessels were a regular occurrence between here and the West Indies, when Sunderland Point was a trading port in the 16 and 1700s, before it moved to Lancaster. Okay, we're now here at the gravesite of Sambo, and as you can see from the shots, that is very well attended. And we are going to build a new sea defence wall for Sambo, which extends to the front of the gravesite and along the foreshore to the lane. The sea defence structure will be a series of precast concrete panels, and it will be faced with local stone to give one the impression of a continuous stone wall. The new access for Sambo will come along the field behind me, and will then enter the gravesite behind a new stock fence, which is going to go along the side of the pathway. And the existing fence will be moved further back from the grave to allow people more access to visit the grave in comfort.
Hi there, my name's Helen Greaves and I'm a PhD student based at the University College London, and I'm here today to show you the ponds that we've done as part of our restorations for the Great Twin Pond dig here in Lancashire. So why are we doing this project then? Well, all this project leads from my research for my PhD, where we found that in farmland ponds, you can really enhance biodiversity in farmland by taking away the trees on old restored ponds, letting in sunlight and scraping away the bottom so that seeds can recolonise from the seed bank that might already be there. So we wanted to do this. We've done work down in Norfolk, but we've never done it in Lancashire before, and we know that there are the same marl pits across Lancashire and the northwest as there are in Norfolk. And hence this is a fantastic opportunity to show that what we can do and the work that we've been doing down in Norfolk can also be done here. We're linked on this site very closely to Gorse Hill Nature Reserve, and we hope that that proximity to the ponds that are also on that nature reserve will allow species to recolonise through a network of ponds across the landscape. So by having ponds at different successional stages, those that were perhaps created a few years ago and then newer ones, all different species can find a perfect habitat just for them.
Hi, I'm Deborah Clark. I'm the Managing Director here at Elmfield Hall. I'm here to tell you about a fabulous project that we have been working with in conjunction with Lancashire Environmental Fund, and it's called the Elmfield Hall Community Connections Project, which has been a project that we have been developing, and we've been restoring part of our building which is called the Green Room. The Green Room was completely disused. It was part of the old Parks Department of the Borough Council, because we're in a lovely park, and it's been wonderful to see the development of the sort of recycling of old materials, looking at the whole, keeping it in context with the heritage of the building. But the wonderful thing for us at Community Solutions is about how it affects local people. We now run upwards of 6 or 7 groups, which are groups of people that come together who might be socially isolated, they might have health issues. The group that's going on today is a cooking and horticultural group. So we use some of the produce from our polytunnel, which is grown here on site, and we're able to do cooking from fresh. So some of the group that is here today are very interested in both aspects of the horticulture and the actual cooking, and the participants get to take the food home, which is always an added bonus. We also run groups for people with moderate mental health issues, which are very sociable groups. So we do have a pool table in there, and lots of games and activities that people can enjoy, meet new people, and it's been a great success and a real joy to us as an organisation to receive referrals from individuals that need some support.
Hello, my name's Duncan Ashcroft, and together with Suzanne we've set up the pollinator project that you can see behind me, which is a grassed wildflower meadow, and also a community orchard and an environmental education storytelling area with a hazel and willow archway leading to an outdoor classroom. What we can see at the moment is a field. The predominantly white flower is oxeye daisy, which is good at this time of year. It's mixed in with ribwort plantain and meadow buttercup are the main 3 at this time of year. There's also a bit of red clover, yellow bird's foot trefoil. Later on, because the flowering will carry on until the late season, there's going to be knapweed, yarrow and wild carrot. What I've noticed is about 15 species of butterfly use this field now, and because there's a lot of sorrel in, there's a lovely little butterfly called the small copper, and I'm really hoping that that's going to thrive and flourish even more. Also, a thing noticed is goldfinches are now coming on and feeding on the seed heads of the sorrel, and they perch and it bends over, and it's a lovely sight to see them, and they sound absolutely beautiful as well. So we hope this is the early days of it, and we hope that it will have a bright future, and that more and more of our precious pollinators will make it their home.
Hello, my name's Tim Burrows. Welcome to Brockholes, lovely Brockholes. I am the Head of People Engagement based here at Brockholes, and we've been working on a fantastic project funded by LEF and United Utilities. It is called the Osprey Way, and if you want to follow me this way, we'll take you down it. Okay, so here we are on the Osprey Way. This is the first part as you come down the hill through the hedgerow. Really quite beautiful. The idea of the Osprey Way was to get people off the meadow, so we can get help the meadows grow and get more diverse meadow flowers growing. Get people off the meadow and get them down and exploring more parts of Brockholes, getting them a further part of the nature reserve they don't usually get to see. So people working on the Osprey Way, we had the Dirt Works team, so every Saturday our young people come down working 1 till 4, working on the path. They helped carve out the path, they've helped build the dead hedging all down the sides, they've helped keep the vegetation back, they've actually got involved in raking and using the whacker plate to create the substrate that we walk down. Really useful guys on Saturdays. We've also got the conservation team, so Lorna and her crew, they've been coming out on the Tuesdays, the Wednesdays and the Thursdays, working again on the dead hedges, and it's been a real big team project to get this done. Okay, so here we are at the end of the Osprey Way, looking out over the Osprey platform. We get osprey here at Brockholes on migration off to Scotland, and they come in spring and we get them in autumn. the dream is that one day one of them will land on our platform and call Brockholes its home, and this is the best place to be able to view it from in the future. Currently it ends here, but we want to be able to go around the south of the lake, taking it around, joining back up with the Guild Wheel, so we then have a full loop of the of Meadow Lake.
Hello, my name is Simon Thorpe. I'm the manager of Curedon Valley Park, and this is our new visitor centre. This is the Eco Visitor Centre and Cafe that we built. It's been a long process. It's taken 5 years in total, 2 years in preparation and 3 years to actually construct it. Constructed largely by volunteers, which has been a tremendous effort. We have had some contractors come in later on, electricians and plasterers, to do some of the specialist work. But one of the things that the volunteers did was to stuff these tyres full of MOT Type 1 stone, and these tyres form the foundations of the building. There's no concrete or no cement in this. It's all just sat on a raft of these second-hand car tyres round with stone. So as well as a cafe and offices for the park staff, we also have an education room in the building. Education is a massive part of our charitable objectives. This whole building is designed to meet an international standard called the Living Building Challenge, which is to do with the environmental performance of the building. So it's packed full of technology and materials that are really good for humans and really good for the planet. We've got an underfloor heating system powered by this beast, this NIPE heat pump boiler, and that's taking heat through ground source heat pumps out in the field beneath us, pumping it up and through underfloor heating system. Beneath the underfloor is a straw insulation again. We're taking rainwater from the roof and harvesting that into tanks and being pumped back through to feed the toilets. So lots of technology to save water and to maximise the efficiency of the heating.
Hi, I'm Jane Woolham. I'm Secretary of the newly formed Grimsby Wetlands Trust. We are delighted that we have been successful in gaining a grant to help us improve the pathways around Grimsby Wetlands. I've just been walking up part of the steps which we hope will be restored with the grant that the LEF has made available to us. The site here is basically 3 redundant reservoirs, and they are to the north of Preston Road in Grimsby. They were Victorian reservoirs and they used to supply water for Preston and latterly to Courtaulds factory during the 60s, 70s and 80s.
My name's Andy Small and I'm one of the founding members and one of the trustees of Grimsby Wetlands Trust. I'd like to welcome today to the Middle Reservoir, which is named the Mere, and the home to many of our wading birds, including lapwings, curlew, oyster catchers, redshanks and common sandpipers. The other 2 reservoirs on site are managed in different ways. The first reservoir is managed and overgrown with willow and is used for the warblers, chiffchaffs and other birds that tend to nest there. The third reservoir is it's full of water and is used for breeding purposes by ducks and other wildfowl. The flowers and the fauna on the site are sometimes simply stunning, especially in springtime and early summer, with many different species of orchids and many types of wildflowers that many people don't have a chance to see anymore. But on a site like this, that has been left as it is for over 12 years, everything has grown through at its own rate. At the moment, our range of dragonflies and damselflies has been absolutely stunning due to the hot weather. We also have a range of butterflies on site and also moths, of which some members carry out moth trapping quite regularly. Our amphibians are also in full force with toads, newts and all different manner of creatures on site.
I'm Zoe, my name's Zoe and I'm one of the Friends of Bay Cottage play area. I've got involved maybe 2.5 years in when I retired, and I'm very keen on this playground because I bring grandchildren here all the time. We spent a lot of time talking to local children in the schools and children who came on the park, asking them what new equipment they'd like when we redid the playground, and we devised an original plan for the playground based on what children asked. One thing what was interesting was that we were, at the last minute, we were trying to adjust the budget a bit. And one little boy who came on a fun run to raise money for the playground said, look, you haven't got a slide. I really think you should have a slide here. And the adults all thought, oh, we haven't got a slide. So we took one piece of equipment out and we added the slide. And in fact, it's now one of the most popular bits of equipment we have. So I think listening to children all the time is really useful for us.
I'm Yvonne and I'm a member of the Friends of Bay Cottage, and we've been working for the last 4.5 years to upgrade and renew our playground. That was rather old and the council decided that they had to empty everything out because it was unsafe. This is a space that's very much loved and used by people of the generations, and we have grandparents and parents coming back bringing their own kids for places that they loved in their own growing up. And this is something we've done quite a lot of, again, consultation, talking to people locally. It's called Bay Cottage because this, if you can see the picture here, is actually what it used to be. It used to be a house and then a cafe, and then latterly the council had it as a play area. And people have told us all sorts of things about how important it is. And partly because the setting is very beautiful, people come from all over to have a day here. They might go on the beach, they might go up to the village. So it's part of our local community.
Hello, I'm Bill Brady. I'm the Pennine Bridleway Ranger for the South Pennines, and we're at Brinkends, which is above Wycoller Country Park. We're here today looking at the Pennine Bridleway project across Bolesworth Moor. It was part funded by the Lancashire Environmental Fund and National Trails. The project used subsoil techniques and traditional stone pitching techniques to help with a badly eroded section. The subsoil technique gives us a wildlife ditch, which is excellent because we're in a SSSI area. The section of the Pennine Bridleway that we're on goes north from the Mary Townley Loop. Even though this remote area, it gets around 5,000 walkers a year and around 2,000 cyclists a year. It also gets about 60 horse riders. Feedback from the local horse riders is that they've enjoyed the work we've done and they will be using it more. The work we've done has created a ditch which slows the water down. It stops erosion on the path and the users are defined to one line rather than braiding across the moor. The work included a subsoil technique and then armouring with locally sourced gritstone. This gritstone was then seeded with a SSSI seed mix. As well as the constraints of this site working in the SSSI, one of the other problems is the historical aspect. In front of me is the Packhorse Trail from roughly 17th, 18th century. We made sure that this was left in place or it was avoided altogether.
My name's Sean Kerr. I'm the Parks Development Officer at Burnley Borough Council, Green Spaces and Amenities Department. And I'm here in Thompson Park in the almost completed and newly restored play area. And here you can see behind me we have an incredibly popular park now, and a more interactive play area for children to participate in social and creative activity. We did a lot of consultation with the Friends of Thompson Park and local school groups, and we identified that there was a need here to have a much better range of equipment to make this park a more exciting place to come. The park is very central to the town of Burnley. This has an important role to play because a lot of disadvantaged communities and people that cannot afford a day out to the coast in Blackpool, for example, for a bucket and spade holiday, can come here and enjoy the same sort of experience without having to pay a lot of money to get out of town. The sand and water play equipment came from Heaton Park in Manchester. There it was going to be scrapped, so we decided to purchase it at a very cheap price and install it here in Thompson Park, but it needed a lot of work to restore it and bring it to its former glory. Where it was in Heaton Park, it wasn't an inclusive piece of equipment, therefore people with wheelchairs couldn't access the equipment. Now we've made certain modifications that allow wheelchairs to go on the equipment and for children with all abilities to take part in the activity.
Hi there, I'm Tim Blythe from Lancashire County Council's Countryside Service. Beacon Fell is one of our major sites, and regular visitors will probably remember the wooden snake we used to have up there. Wooden is an interesting word because it was never going to last forever. But that's fine because we're going to replace it with stone and it's going to last forever. We were approached by Cardinal Allen High School from Fleetwood, who suggested having a joint project to replace it. So we're obviously not at Beacon Fell today, we're actually at Tom Dagnall's workshop in Bretherton.
My name's Tom Dagnall. I'm the sculptor that made the original snake on Beacon Fell. This is going to be the head of the snake. The snake will be 50 metres long, starting down not far from the visitor centre with the tail, and then snaking its way up through the woods. The day isn't quite so good as it was last time, but I haven't been idle since you were last here. There's a fair bit of stone gone off this actually. The thing started at about 5 tonne, I think. I'm guessing it's less than 3 tonne now. The trouble with stone is it's quite like concrete really. There's not a lot of difference between stone and concrete. If you make it too shiny, it looks like concrete. So I prefer to have the marks of the making in it, so it's obvious what it is and what it's been made out of.